everyone, this is Deborah. I got a long drive ahead of me, so I thought I would talk today about real estate agents. I got screwed so many times by realtors. It's not realtor, it's realtors that I actually took the class and got my license. And I even retook the class about 7 years ago, Colonial Beach, with Coldwell Banker, and I ended up in the hospital, and I missed, you're supposed to take the pre-test with Coldwell Banker, and I missed that pre-test, and then they were going to fine me $100, and I go, I even had an excuse that I was in the hospital, and you're going to fine me $100? I said, I don't want to work for Coldwell Banker if that's the way they're going to treat people. And the only other student in class then was this other gentleman who, his dog caused him to break his arm in 3 places. I don't know ever what happened to him, but that was terrible that they would not waive that fine or whatever you call it. So I have a distaste for realtors, believe me. But this is what I've learned. When you call on a house that you're interested in, you're considered the buyer. But that realtor, the listing agent that is showing you the house is not for you, my darling. They represent the seller. What you need to do is get a buyer's agent who looks out for your best interests. Okay. And I do think the real estate fees are way too high. It's like 6%, and they change 3% to the lister, 3% to the selling agent, and then of course the broker gets something. But it is, I think, the most what did I say? Corrupt system. Because here's why: you don't need to pay those fees. You don't need to pay those fees. You can just get with the person who's selling their house if you like it, and they haven't listed it yet, I guess. You can just go get a title closing agent. It's not like it used to be in the old days where you had to go through an attorney and all this stuff. Just get a title closing company. There's hundreds of them. They can close the deal on you. And don't let them say that it's going to take a month. I've closed on houses in 12 days, okay? And, of course, the, what is it? When you sign, like if you're the seller and you're signing that contract, be careful what you are letting the new buyers have. Like, I put down that, you know, they could have the hardware that's on the house. Come to find out, the person who bought my last condo said, well, I want your curtains. I want your bar stools. And I said, no, I'm not giving you my bar stools. I'm giving you,
There's a speed trap ahead.
You have to be careful what you sign. And if it's not on the contract, you're not going to get it. You know, it's everything is within the confines of that document. Now, I've lost hundreds, thousands of dollars with because of my ex. He didn't understand contracts so much. I was selling like 50 acres in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and I was told by the listing agent that the person that buying it needed to have more road frontage to build his neighborhood, according to VDOT. That was a lie. That was a lie. But my ex believed it, and he gave him another 5 acres of road frontage because he believed everything that came out of this realtor's mouth. She was a good-looking lady, and of course, I would find her up at my office early in the morning, because I never went into the office till 9 o'clock. I went up there one day and I go, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be representing me and him, and you're up here negotiating deals with him? Yeah, I told her off. I said, don't you ever come to this property until you go through me. And I had put on that contract, when I finally had a buyer, I said, it has to close on this day or the contract is null and void. And excuse me, that's one of the tics I have. Well, they talked my ex into rephrasing that. On or about. Watch the verbiage on a contract, because that's how they manipulate you, is the verbiage. I had a drop dead date. That means the contract is null and void on that date if it's not executed. Okay. Now, I also had one realtor who said, oh, well, you got a buyer, but he's trying to get financing. Well, this was when I was very young. I should have said, well, if he doesn't get financing in like 2 weeks or 30 days, put it back on the market, right? Clueless. No, didn't happen. Then I had one realtor tell me that when I was listing my first home, which I remodeled, I put a jacuzzi, a sunken tub, jacuzzi in my bedroom, added an addition. She said, well, I actually bought another house on the water in Weems, Virginia. I put on a dock, because I own my own pile driver. I put on a deck, a wraparound deck around the whole house, landscaped it beautifully. But my first house, I rented it out when I was living in my house on the water in Weems. She said, you have to get these renters out of here, because I got a buyer. Well, I didn't know that any contract, you have to abide by any existing lease agreements. See, I didn't know that till I went to real estate school. She was full of crap. I didn't have to get rid of my renter. I didn't have to get rid of my renter until the last minute. Once a contract is ratified and you've gone to closing, you can still keep your renters in there. The house that I bought on 14th Street at Harbor Island, where the mayor lives, where they have the White Marlin open. I bought that place for $500,000, and going to closing, all of a sudden the realtor goes, oh, there's an existing lease, because a bunch of realtors own this, and they have an existing lease which you have to honor for 7 months. Of course, I got the money for it, because then I was the new owner. But you have to watch out for all this stuff. You have to be very savvy. You have the right to change something up. You have the right to amend a contract. Now, my last deal, I told the lady I was disabled. I said, I'm a single person. I am disabled. And this someone offered me exactly what I wanted. But the next day, I wanted to up it another $10,000, because I realized I had underpriced it, even though I was selling it for $50,000 more than what I bought it for. But the market had changed considerably. And the lady was having trouble. She's having trouble coming up with, some of the down payment or whatever. And I wouldn't give an inch. She finally, all of a sudden, got the money. And my agent who represented me actually represented the buyer more than me, which made me mad. It's Coldwell Banker. And what happened was, because I would not let her have my, $2,000 bar stools, and she wanted my curtain rods. Buy your own damn curtain rods. I had to put all those up by myself, So she only gave me 3 days to move out. I had to rent it back. See, my listing agent is bringing this up to me. Well, you can like rent it back from the new buyer. You can rent it back from the new buyer. No. If she really wanted to represent me, she should have just said that I can stay in there another 2 weeks without renting it back from the buyer. You see how she was more representing the person, because that's how she gets paid. She gets paid by the person buying the place. You understand? Okay. And I had to be out of there in 3 days. I mean, I was sweating bullets. I just put a notice out in my community. Anybody could help me move. And I had like 4 ladies there. And they helped me. And I got out of there in time. Because there was a penalty if I didn't get out by a certain hour. And then she wanted to rent my storage shed while I was trying to move. And I said, no, you wouldn't have helped me. And then I think the lady that bought my place was a realtor. And see, that has to be fully disclosed. And that made me mad, because I do think she was a realtor herself, because that is something that must be disclosed. Okay, here we go. Here's another time I was almost about to get screwed by a real estate agent. I had bought a 2-bedroom condo on Wintergreen Mountain, where the ski resort is at. Bought it for $64,000. I totally remodeled it. Brand new furniture, beautiful commercial curtains were put up, ceramic tile throughout, and I decided to sell it, which I wish I hadn't. But I had to, because when this place was built, it wasn't up to code. There was no code back in the early 70s. And the way the gutter system and the drainage system was designed, the bottom unit would always be having black mold, because they had to gut my unit and rebuild it from the studs out for the aspergillus. The president of the HOA was responsible. We ended up having a heart attack. I didn't get to use my unit for a whole year. I lost all of that usage. And so what happened when I went to list it, of course everything was fixed, okay? As long as you fix the issues, you don't have to disclose any problems. Okay. When I went to list it, the man said, oh, on Wintergreen we have an agreement that you have to list it with the same people that you bought it from. And I looked at him and I said, bull crap. I said, I've had my real estate license. I know that I have the right to list it with anybody that I want. You see how they manipulate the people who are not informed and are not smart about real estate. And I highly suggest that any of you all that are thinking about buying a house, that you learn the terminology and the rules, because if you're getting it all from the listing and the selling agents, you're going to get screwed. I promise you. And whatever you want on that contract, it better be listed. Don't have any verbal agreements. Oh, but I want it all done in cash, or I want it this way, or I want it to close on this date. You've got to be a fanatic about how that contract is written. Always write it so that you have an out. Okay, so let's talk about contingencies. During that big boom 3 years ago, you couldn't have a contingency or you wouldn't be able to buy a house. That's why I bought my house with no contingencies. I was desperate for a place to live. I was tired of living and sleeping on people's couches when I sold my condo at Colombo Beach. Contingencies can be on financing. That gives you an out. Another contingency could be if it passes inspection by a home inspector. That can give you an out. You always want to have an out if you're the buyer. You never know what could happen. Yeah. So, but the market was so hot. They wanted cash. They wanted.
In 2 miles, take the exit toward I-95 South.
Yeah. Back 3 years ago, I offered more money on some homes and never got it because it was being sold for 10 and 20,000 more. So, yeah. So I highly advise anybody who's trying to buy a house to get a book on buying a house. Don't go by what your tractor trailer's trying to get over. So I hope I helped somebody out there. Bye.